Salutations to all our viewers. This is the webinar Onboard Weather Technology to help manage extreme weather events from our sponsors, Weathernews. Our guest speakers today are John Sideris, Senior Sales Manager with Weathernews, Captain Panayiotis Tsintavis, Operations Manager of Ionic Shipping, Miles Whitman, Developer with Weathernews. They'll be happy to answer any questions you have after the presentation, so do type them in the Q&A box on your screen. Here's our founding editor of Digital Ship, Carl Jeffrey, to explain more.
So we're going to talk today about how high-resolution weather forecasts can help ships manage intense weather events. It's been normal for years for ships to work with weather data in the deep sea with a resolution of about 60 kilometers. That's 1 degree of latitude and longitude. And we're talking today about using weather data with 3 kilometers resolution. That's 0.05 degrees of latitude or longitude. So weather conditions can change a great deal over 60 kilometers, just as it probably does where you live. Now, you might think we've managed fine with 60-kilometer resolution weather data for years, but climate change is making weather patterns everywhere more unpredictable. We're getting more intense weather events, and they often happen over a smaller area. So if ships just use low-resolution weather forecasts, it gets harder to avoid extreme weather and make an accurate prediction of arrival time. So we're also going to talk today about how to make it easier for crew to work with the data, getting useful alerts. Our main speaker will be John Sideris. He's the Senior Sales Manager with Weathernews, and he's based in Athens. Then we're going to have a short talk from Captain Panayiotis Tsintavis, Operations Manager of Ionic Shipping. They're based in Glyfada, as you can see behind him, and he operates 11 bulk carriers and 7 tankers. And then we're going to have a software demonstration from Miles Whitman, developer from Weathernews. He's joining us from Chiba, just outside Tokyo. And I think there's also some Weathernews experts we might bring in the Q&A to answer some specific questions. So there should be plenty of time for your questions. Please put them in the Q&A box at any time, but we'll take them at the end. I'd like to invite Yanis to start his talk.
Thank you very much, Carl. Thank you, everyone, for attending this meeting and finding time from your busy schedule for this webinar from Weathernews. Let me share my screen so you can actually see what I'm talking about. All right. So, can you see my screen?
Yes, that's good, yeah.
Yes, thank you very much. So, our today's topic is how onboard weather technology can help mitigating extreme weather events that we are seeing happening more and more frequently in these days and also in the previous years. Very quick overview of today's topics. When I talk about the increasing challenges that posed by extreme weather events, the impact that these events have on masters and crews, the human element that's very important in our business, the learnings that we can get from the onboard weather technology, and of course, the new approach where safety meets optimization in order to have the best result available. Things that we see and are posed from extreme weather events. Everyone knows what's happening in the latest years. We constantly see more and more extreme weather events disrupting maritime operations, even in cases where the predictability was high enough for safety planning. But even then, the rapid intensification resulted to unpredictability, unfortunately, with cases like the Ian hurricane back in 2022, a Category 4 storm with 240 km/h winds, and of course the sinking of the super yacht Bayesian 2024, with high temperatures even in the Mediterranean Sea. All these events create a significant impact on maritime safety and logistics worldwide for all types of vessels and operations, not the high tonnage vessels like bulkers and tankers, but also all the different types of vessels. From the Paris Agreement that we can identify easily and highlight the risks that will take place within the next years. For example, greenhouse gases has reached the highest of the levels. From January to September 2024, we have seen an increase close to 1.54 Celsius higher than usual. The rivers around the world are experiencing their first drought in more than 13 years. And we can see the effects on global trading canals, like in Panama, and the extreme precipitation events that will continue, like the ones that we see right now happening in the Mediterranean seas, and also outside of the English Channel, in the Bay of Biscay, So we see in many different locations, precipitation is rising and extreme weather events are happening. How does climate change impact the wave height? We see a very usual and very regular change of average wave height happening from 1985 to 2008. It's not very large, the difference, to be honest. But we see a big rate of change in the maximum wave height on these years, close to 1% per year. Imagine in real numbers that for a high wave height of 6 meters, we can see an increase in 10 years close to 7 meters wave, and from 80 meters wave, more than 9 meters. So we can see that as we move on and the years changing, we see that the max wave height can increase and also changing the routes and all the voyage planning that we are doing for our business. This result, as I mentioned before, to the total voyage distance and time. This finding could also imply that sometimes, for example, claims along such voyages may become larger, for example, the extrapolation of good weather performance. And we can see on below graph the differences from 2017 to 2021 and how this is becoming bigger and wider every year. This information is actually based upon findings derived from historical data and based on our experience and the cooperation that Weathernews has with other providers in order to understand how the climate is changing the voyage distance and time accordingly. So, as a very quick overview of the first things that we discussed, we can see that weather safety has a big risks. We can see extended voyages equals to a big market volatility. We can see a lot of port disruptions happening. The sea level is rising, and the environmental compliance costs that are becoming higher and higher every year. Now, what are the learnings from the onboard weather technology that we are using so far, and what we can do better in the future? This is the main point. Right now, Weathernews, for example, we have a current tool, we call it Captain Doska, who has a significant value, but can be certainly enhanced for greater efficiency. We can see the key challenges, such as data accessibility, the ease of use, and we need to have a seamless integration between ship side and shore side in order for the master and the operator to work efficiently and on the same level. We also see the future trends. There is a shift toward more automated and high resolution solution in order to better handle modern challenges and have an improved decision making. What are the benefits of a high resolution weather analysis if we can capture them and, let's say, gather them in 4 different aspects? High resolution weather forecasts enable fast decision making, as we saw before. Also, high resolution can reduce costs and emissions by enabling the vessel to take the most efficient route in terms of cost, weather, unpredictable phenomena, and everything. The accurate forecast with a high resolution technology give masters and the crew a greater confidence and support for quick decision making, because as you all know, the captain and the crew has many things to deal when they are on board, so they need to feel confident when a weather provider, either it's from the operation side or from the private weather company, will support them with accurate weather forecast. And this, of course, will improve the safety at sea and reduce any risk of accidents or incidents happening. This is the forecast technology that we're using with Weathernews. Of course, I'm not going to go into much detail on that and mention every model that we're using, but this is a very quick overall analysis. And I would like to focus on what we have achieved in Weathernews in terms of going deeper into the weather analysis and improving our resolution from 1 degree, 60 nautical miles area, to the new model of having 0.125 degree, which is close to 8 nautical miles. This is a very significant change in our forecast, and you can see a very quick example on the 2 pictures that you can see on below. On the left, we have a forecast analysis for the North Atlantic area, showing that there is this red white area where we expect to have 12 or even 14 meters wave. This is with the conventional model of 1 degree. On the right side, we can see the same area with a new model of 0.125 degree, meaning 8 nautical miles, where you can see that the dangerous area of 12 and 40 meters wave can be even bigger and even wider. So any vessels in the proximity of this second red core of the wave height can be also endangered if they don't have an accurate forecast. This is a real-life example where the high resolution can help us identify this extreme phenomena, alert the master, alert the crew, so they can make a fast decision in order to have a more safe route and, of course, a more cost-efficient route. Now, where is a new approach? Where does safety meet optimization? Where we can draw the line in order to have both the most optimized route and the most safe route, of course. What are the challenges that we face in safety? We need to manage severe weather, and we also have operational concerns with reduced crew size in vessels and information overload with a lot of reporting happening from the masters, and the pressure for a fast decision making. We also face connectivity risks most of the time, cybersecurity vulnerabilities during extreme conditions, and the strain on connectivity where we need to rely on digital tools. This is a big issue that we face and also something that we need to address in our new onboard solution. What are the forecasting needs? Demand for accessibility in high-resolution weather, actionable data, and quick decision-making support, as we saw before with the high-resolution analysis. How does now the forecast technology help on data-driven risk management? This is an example on a probabilistic forecast-based optimization that can result to strategic optimization with quantifiable risk. This can be applied to systemized voyage optimization as well by utilizing probability thresholds and actually determine the optimization of a voyage instead of the traditional wave height. Using the probabilistic output can help account for the risk of forecast change in the overall voyage strategy. This is very similar to the way a human would develop a voyage optimization strategy, but right now we are using the benefit of being able to apply specific risk tolerance based on the threshold that the customer wants. So in this case, we can see that there are many different routes a vessel can follow going to Europe, either through the English Channel or above UK, based on the wave height, the threshold, and other things that we can insert in our system in order to have the most efficient route for a fast decision making. How do we go to from application to actionable decision support? Here we have an example of the bearing route and the shortest route. This simulation technology can also be applied for business decision support. For example, in this slide, we show the range of outcomes for ETA, the fuel consumption, and the CII for these two routes. This output can certainly help the user to understand which one of those is expected to have more stable weather conditions, but also the possible range of outcomes can be used to understand the likelihood of the vessel arriving, for example, in a lake and window, or the bunker requirements for a voyage. So depending on your priority and what is the decision making for this specific route, you can select the different window and the different opportunity in order if you have a tight lake or if you need to save bunkers to arrive safely at the destination port. We have many different alerts that we use in order to provide the latest and the most efficient information both to the master and on shore. This helps us to mitigate the voyage risk by combining weather and voyage digital data. We have the off-track alert, the UKC risk alert, the route entry in order to see expected entrance to risk areas as Naveria, for example, within 72 hours. We have the heavy weather encounter alert when a vessel is expected to enter a stormy weather area within the next 72 hours. The vessel motion, of course, very important, the ship rolling risk within the 3 days, and also a higher resolution simulation for the estimated position if we have a ground risk in the area. All those things can be combined into the same solution, providing instant information to both the master and, of course, the operator on shore. So how do we go then from safety to operational optimization? We use real-time alerts for rapid response. We use a user-friendly tool to simplify the whole workflow that is required from that system. We integrate the systems together to reduce the decision fatigue, and we use actionable insights for a better optimized voyage planning. WNI is able to utilize data from over 6,500 voyages per month, which also includes more than 600,000 emails and more than 300,000 ship reports. All of those data that we gather help us to optimize our algorithm in order to provide those information in a more fast time. But besides all that, the most important is the feedback that we are getting from the masters and the actual users of our solutions. We held a questionnaire for this webinar, and thank you everyone for answering these questions. So I'm going to provide the answers to those questions and hope this will help us identify what are the most crucial things that we need to develop and to actually provide to our end users. What is the main reason for using an onboard system? As you can see, route planning and optimization wins the majority, but of course, regular weather forecasting is also very, very important for all the masters. How would you like to receive your weather forecast updates? I believe that right now, based on the latest digital technologies, that everyone wants to receive the updates directly in software in order to not waste time through emails or any other convenient medium. How often do you use the onboard system on a weekly basis? I guess everyone is using the onboard system whenever there is the necessity to use it, but 3 to 4 times per week is what we see that is the most common answer. What is the main reason that you generate and optimize your future route? Of course, to avoid heavy weather. This is very important, but you can see that all the options are necessary, so we cannot easily differentiate what is the most important or the less important. Everything is important when you are using an onboard solution. And of course, last but not least, how would you prefer to have the service provided through offline mode? The master is the final decision maker whenever he wants to take the route or guide the vessel. So at master discretion, ask your weather update in advance before the loss of connection can help a lot, or we can use an email or get the system update whenever it finds a good signal. All these solutions are operable, but I think that the master is the final user and the final decision maker in order to have the best info provided when there is an offline mode. That's it from my side so far. I'll let Captain Panayiotis from Ionic Bulk Carriers to share his own opinion, comments, and insights. And I would like to thank him very much for dedicating his time from the busy schedule for this webinar. Captain Panayiotis, the floor is yours.
Good afternoon, all of you. Great presentation, John. Thank you very, very much. Good job. After the presentation of Mr. Sideris, we continue with voyage optimization. I will try to share in some information and we explain some benefits, needs and requirements for masters, operators, owners, and last but not least, how can the WNI support us? So everybody knows that a very big percentage of grading goods are transported by the sea. The shipping industry nowadays is under the pressure and everybody asking to reduce the CO2 emissions, but at the same time, the profits is the main goal. In fact, the world is looking to the shipping players and is waiting action in order to make the global trading greener. Yanni, please, the next. Okay. So the main topic is regarding the voyage optimization. Let's see on board what kind of needs and requirements can provide it for masters. The first of all, and the most important, is the safe navigation and crew well-being. What exactly we can say here? The main things is to avoidance of heavy weather and ensuring smooth sailing conditions. Reliable weather routing support is very important for the masters to have in well advanced prediction for the following days as much as accurate are most probably we want for the next 48 or 72 hours and follow up. Clear decision-making authorities must need to have the ability to prioritize safety by using his own experience. And for this one, it's very important to have a reliable weather routing in order to decide it in well advanced time. Operational efficiency and safety, balancing fuel efficiency, taking into account traffic and port congestion, very important. Optimizing speed and fuel consumption to minimize voyage cost and comply with the charter party terms. Equal is very important to save bunkers, to increase the speed and keep the CII, the fuel EU, EU ETS all in a reasonable cost. Effective communication between owners, masters, and charterers. Regarding the communication, clear communication, crew morale and support, effective communication with both owners and charterers for smooth process, reliable source support and access to real-time data, safe and comfortable work environment to ensure a safe voyage. If we want to sum up for the master, from the master side, here we can say that we need a reliable weather routing support. We need to optimizing the speed, fuel consumption in order to have minimized voyage cost and comply with the charter party. Information regarding the congested port in order to adjust our speed and ETA is equal, very, very important. Thank you, Yanni. The next one, please.
This
Okay.
is the owner, yes.
Yes, thank you. For the owners, very important, the voyage optimization. First of all, cost saving and sustainability. Fuel and speed efficiency reducing up to 15% of the voyage cost. The percentage is the maximum one. Everybody has own experience, and somebody says 5, 10, or 15% is something we can discuss and exchange information. Reducing maintenance cost for an efficient voyage planning. Lowering emission to comply with the IMO regulation. Everybody have in our mind for the calling the Euroports. We have EU ETS. Recently, we start recording the fuel EU, which the charges will start on 2026. Operational efficiency and voyage planning. Better communication with the vessel for instant decision making. It's very important. I have in my office the optimization provided by WNI, and I can discuss with the captain his passage plan, his route to the next port, if affected with any bad weather, in order to modify it and amend any new corrective voyage route. Improving fleet utilization so owners can operate more voyages and more frequently, depends on the weather condition. Data-driven decision making with maximize fleet productivity. Competitive advantages and marketability. Maintain a good performance results to higher charter rates. Also, a fuel-efficient vessel can prolong the value of the asset. Very important for after-sales business with the vessel. Stronger reputation between owners and charterers, resulting to strong relationships. These are some things which is very good for the owners. For the operators of the vessel, cost control and profitability, lower operational cost and optimizing maintenance schedule, minimize port and demurrage cost with just-in-time arrival priorities, fuel and speed efficiency for the whole berth-to-berth voyages. It is important for the operator of the vessel, and it's very good tool to calculate and to make a planning for vessel speed, speed and consumption arriving to the discharging to any port, and keep the CII rating in order. Operational efficiency and fleet management. On-time performance for operation to meet charter party terms and minimize weather delays. It's very important. Some of the times we have speed claims, overconsumption, underperformance, and we can avoid any speed claims. Maximize fleet productivity, allowing more vessels to complete more voyages per year. Monitoring vessels' performance with a clear indication how it can be improved. Regulation compliance with the risk management. Emission reduction strategies and mitigating regulation penalties. Different fuel kind strategies for EU areas and ports. Cargo safety, hull stability, and vessel efficient for the safe travels. As I told you, the last but not least is how the weather news support the vessel. And one of these partners is WNI as well, which with the voyage optimization can assist to achieve all the previous goals. On a day-to-day basis, master needs to have easy access to onboard system. It's very important. The master must have good, accurate information, at least for the next 48 to 72 hours, to adjust the speed, to adjust the course for safety of the vessel, cargo, crew, environment, all of this. Receive weather forecast without delays. Check and update his route based on the latest instruction, and ultimately arrive safely at his destination. With Weathernews support and solution, we can optimize a plan and execute our future routes, berth to berth, by ensuring safety, profitability, and efficiency. And at the end, this sketch, which apparently it's the end, the bottom line, safety on board, one side of the triangle. Fast decision making is equal, very, very important, berth to berth planning. So for my side, for my point of view, these were the most important benefits, needs, and requirements for the masters, mainly following for the operators, owners, and what exactly a master need to achieve all these goals and to have one safe route voyage from point A to point B. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you very much, Captain Panayiotis, for your input and your useful information. Now let's move to my colleague Miles Whitman, that he's based in Chiba, Japan, that will do a short demonstration of our new onboard solution. Miles, you're next.
Yeah, thank you, John, and thank you, Captain Panayiotis. I hope to touch on some of the points that you brought up, and I'd like to share my screen now with give a short demo of the platform that we're developing for the onboard system. Sorry, can you see my screen?
Not yet, no.
Okay, let me try that again. Just a moment.
Yep.
Okay, is it visible now? All
Yeah.
right, thank you. So we're currently developing the next onboard system for Weathernews, and I'd like to go over the basic concept behind it, which I think touches on the points that Captain Panayiotis just brought up. and then go over some of the specific functionality that's available and how we're using the weather data, as well as depth data to provide a safe berth-to-berth routing solution. So with that, I'll start with just an overview of the platform. So essentially, there are two sort of stakeholders that are involved: onboard the vessel and the onshore operators. And though they have quite similar goals in a lot of ways, they have differing needs sometimes. And so for the onboard tool, on the vessel, they need a single view of a single vessel with only the vessel-specific data. And then, of course, the onshore operators need a fleet view of risks and quick updates for the risk levels of every vessel. And so currently, I think you can see my screen with the platform in fleet view, and you can see the fleet with different icons based on the overall risk level. And these are based on the alert types that we've got. And I'll just give you a quick overview of that. We have off-track alerts. So if a vessel is deviating from the course, that increases the risk of grounding risk and collision risk. Grounding alerts, rolling risk alerts, nav area risk alerts. So for the 21 nav areas across the globe, ocean and coastal storm alerts. So when a vessel is passage plan goes through an ocean and coastal storm. UKC or underkeel clearance alerts, and Navtex risk alerts. So for example, if there's a planned military exercise or satellite debris, those would be displayed on the map. And then the vessel-based alert list is at the bottom with overall risk and each alert type here. And so that'll be for the onshore operators to get a quick overview of the fleet. And I'm just going to select a vessel now. And as you can see, for the next 72 hours, that's the simulation time, along the passage plan, there are some rolling risks. And so as you can see in the rolling rows over here, there's both synchronous and parametric rolling risk. And as the route goes along, you can check the risk levels there, as well as a coastal storm intersection here. And so we've got the weather layers, and I'll just put those up on screen now. So we have wave height, ocean coastal storm, cyclone probability, cyclones and weather charts or pressure charts, as well as current and wind data. We also have visibility and ice data as well. And then this is not weather, but I'll just show you the nav areas as well. So for the 21 nav areas across the globe, you can see, for example, here we have a SpaceX planned risk area here. So we're a SpaceX launch, I think. And so all of this is used in the simulation for every vessel in the fleet. And so that's from the onshore side. For the vessel side of things, the passage planning and passage plan updates are an essential part of the work on board the vessel. And Captain Panayiotis was mentioning the cost of planning a voyage, and so if we can reduce that, the effort that goes into that, that would help a lot with staffing costs and time costs. So with that, I'm going to switch over to route edit mode. And in route edit mode, a vessel can, let me delete these edits. Sorry. Select a vessel number. So as you can see, the passage plan is displayed in the route editor, and you can see the waypoints for the current route, and you can copy that, duplicate it, and if you select a point, you can edit that waypoint, change from run line to great circle, and change any inputs here. But then if, for example, you want to generate a completely new route, you can open up the route search. And if you select a port, you can then zoom to the berths for that port. And so this is proprietary Weathernews berth data generated by the team. So it's got all the berths around the globe. And once you've selected the departure point and the destination, you can generate a route. And I'll show you 4 different route types in a moment here. So there's the system route, which is a navigable route. It's the shortest navigable route. And then 3 different weather routes here. So in one of John's slides, he displayed these 3 weather routes, the 30%, 50%, and 70%. And what those percentages represent is the likelihood of crossing the threshold, or the and so the 30% would be the more conservative route, and the 70% the more aggressive route. So currently, I'll just show you wave height as a threshold of 4 meters. And while this route is generating, I'm going to turn on the navigation chart. And so here are the routes. And I'll select the shortest practical route now. And so what this, what I'd like to show here is the traffic separation scheme. So you can see the arrows pointing down here and the arrows pointing up here, just like a street, a 2-way street. So the system route takes into account local regulations, traffic separation schemes, and so the likelihood of collision, because the route follows all of those traffic separation schemes, the likelihood of collision is greatly reduced. And because that's an essential part of the passage planning process, it lightens the load on the navigational officers or the captain. And so that's from the pilot station to the berth, and the berth to the pilot station. And as you can see, the route goes up through the Aleutian Islands, and you can see here, it also follows the correct traffic separation scheme here. It also takes into account the previous alerts that I mentioned, so the navigation alerts and things like that are avoided, and marine protection areas as well. And then with the weather routes here, let me just select one of them. So as you can see, there are 3 different routes here, and this is the green one is the most conservative route, and quite a bit longer. So we're currently in the process of merging these routes into a single route, taking the base navigable layer as a starting point. So it uses a neural network of waypoints across the globe, which is also proprietary, and then merging that with the weather optimization functionality. And so we'll have waypoint-based optimization on a route that is navigable, so safe for vessels of a specified draft. And users will be able to then input their specifications of what's important or what to wait. And the route will then be a single recommended route will be displayed on the screen. So we got some feedback that having multiple routes creates confusion, and it should just be the best route. And so the master will then get the recommended route for the day, and will be able to select to either use that route or to reject the route, or choose to generate a new route. So let me just turn on the wave height layer here so you can see the weather routes here. And I'm going to zoom in a little bit. This sort of pinkish orange icon is the current vessel position along the route. And as you can see, the weather data updates along with the time bar at the bottom. And so I think there's one more thing that I wanted to share about the route planning, or a couple more things, excuse me. So once a user has generated an acceptable route, excuse me, they can then export it in RTZ format or CSV format and put it directly into the ECDIS. And typically, when a user is just using weather routing, they would take a route from ECDIS, put it into the weather routing, and edit it according to the current weather forecast, and then bring it back to ECDIS to check whether or not there are grounding risks. But because we have this navigable route, it's already an acceptable route, and so they can bring it into the ECDIS, and of course they have to check it. That's a requirement, but they should be able to just bring it straight from the platform into ECDIS, and it should pass the checks, saving time rather than having to go in that iterative process back and forth. And so then the user can update the passage plan with us, with Weathernews, and it'll then be run in the simulation for those route-based alerts every 30 minutes. And the last part about route editing is the AIS density, or the route density layer. And let me just quickly show this as well. So currently it's set to cargo ships based on the current vessel type. And this aids the user in both choosing a route or making edits, and also to give confidence that the generated route is an acceptable route. So they can compare it to historical route data. So as you can see here, it's set to February, the same month of the previous year. It can also be set by draft. So for example, if you want a 10 to 15 meter draft, you can display that as well. And so I'm going to go back to fleet mode for a moment. Actually, let me turn this off. So I'll go back to fleet mode and show you the under keel clearance alerts. And so on the right here, we have the UKC alerts, or under keel clearance alerts, for the fleet. And please stop me if I've already gone over this, because I may have rehearsed it, but I may have said it live. So so if I click on a vessel here, you'll see the alert here for the under keel clearance alert. And as you can see, this one has a high risk, so it's an under keel clearance of less than or equal to 20%. And this is using S57 depth data. So similar data to what's used in ECDIS, but sort of an older version. So it's quite high resolution of 0.001 degrees, which is roughly 110 meters. And so what this allows the onshore operators to do is to get 10-minute updates of UKC risk for the entire fleet. And so the use case for this might be when the operators on shore see a vessel deviating from the passage plan and not being sure if that's acceptable or not. If they have these alerts, one case that we saw was that that a vessel was deviating from the passage plan, and but it actually was avoiding some shallow areas along the passage plan, and you could see it going into the deeper areas. And then about half an hour later, it went back to the passage plan. And so in that case, there's no need to contact the vessel and ask why they're deviating from the passage plan. So that was one use case. Another one is, of course, just to be able to see when a vessel is in a dangerous position and then reach out to the master. And so the way that that users can do that in the tool, instead of using phone, they can just send a direct message in the chat in real time, in the chat functionality. And that's a shared chat feature between the vessel and the onshore operators. So that will facilitate communication between the vessel and the onshore operators, which Captain was mentioning, I believe. And there's the final.
Should we go to the Q&A now? So there's only 10
Oh
minutes
yeah,
left.
please. Sorry, taking too long. Thank you very much, and yeah, be happy to hear any questions.
Okay, very good.
Thanks
If
a
you want to
lot,
stop
Miles. Thank you.
sharing the screen now.
Yeah, should I stop sharing?
Yeah, I think so. Oh, very good. So we're in the Q&A part of the webinar now. We don't have any questions yet, but I've got some. But if you want to put them in the Q&A box. I mean, just to start, Yanis, coming back to the core question we're asking shipping companies to consider. So the choice is low resolution data or high resolution data. And presumably there's a higher price. I guess you won't want to say in public what the price is, but it must be something. I mean, I was thinking, I mean, because of the safety implications, it should be probably a regulatory requirement to have the best weather data possible. Is that I mean, it seems almost crazy not to have it based on how you presented this, isn't it?
Yeah, in our services, we will never provide the low resolution or ask something extra in the last minute, please give us $100 for the high resolution. We will always provide the high resolution forecast and analysis, but we have different API solutions for other companies that or other partners where they can select if they want the high resolution or the low resolution. But this is through an API to their system. In our services, we always use the high resolution analysis, either for routing the vessel, which also has the safety aspect, which is very important, or analyzing the performance of the vessel, or for past weather analysis, doesn't matter. The high resolution is there.
So it's really a choice whether to use Weathernews or a different provider from the shipping company's perspective. We're saying if you use Weathernews, you always get much higher resolution data.
Yeah, exactly. And this is why I presented the example of the wave height, the difference that you can see if a vessel is close to the proximity of the wave height or not using the high resolution. This is the main reason.
Well, and why is your weather data better than your competitors?
Why so? I think that Captain Panayiotis can answer that.
Very good.
Since he's using, it's better for him to answer than me. I mean, okay, I can say whatever I want because I work in Weathernews, but I think Captain Panayiotis, if he wants, can say an answer.
Oh, I can answer. I don't have. Of course, I can answer. First of all, we have good relationship with the WNI since the last 4 years. That means for us is very important the cooperation with the WNI. Okay, this is the number one. I'm talking about cooperation. Second, the product, the optimization is what exactly we need. For me, it's very important one product by WNI, whatever is that one, to be very useful for my masters. Is a simple, we can report it with the minimum reports, and we have good information. Number three, they have some modules, some features like the CII projection, planner, which we can use and we have in well advanced time for the next voyage. Okay, number 4, we have good, giving to them the data, we have emissions, the results are very close, accurate, and every time we have online the CII ranking for our vessels. Number 4, we, as a WNI, it's very important, and I told you for the masters, it's good to have accurate weather information for the following days. Number 5, we have what is the following days. It is good weather days or the bad weather days in order to adjust the speed to avoid over consumption, underperformance, etc. Number 6, we have alerts for the ports as well, weather alerts, security alerts to protect our vessels, and we have also information regarding congested ports. The weather for the ports is very important for our vessels. For us, all of these, the 7 points coming, okay, it's good enough to decide it. And of course, the last is a value for money. It's okay. It's not an expensive program. The owners can afford. So I think I give you some points why we decided and benefits for WNI.
I vote. I'm buying. Told it to me. I am buying.
Very good. Okay, so we've got two good technical questions coming in here. So Egil Ida, he's the head of performance with Golden Ocean in Norway. I think this is for Ioannis. The system is very focused on the master planning of the voyage. How would it work with the weather routing from WNI? And maybe you'd also like to take the second one, Harold Simiyu, who's with a route analyst with Pacific Basin in Hong Kong. How often do you do post-forecast verifications? Do you want to answer both of those, Ioannis?
I prefer to answer yes. From Mr. Hart, the question about the accuracy of weather information, and maybe Miles can support me on the first question that has to do with the product. About the accuracy of weather information, after we receive the noon reports and we actually move from forecast to actually observed weather, then we do a day-to-day analysis because we also feed our platform with the weather data that we have in order to have the best accuracy on the observed weather, not only the forecast. And when we have a voyage completed from a vessel using our services, we provide a performance report or a voyage summary report, depending on the service, where we have an extra verification on the weather data with 3-hour interval analysis on each different weather day. So we can be pretty accurate on what we are providing based on our observations and also the forecast that we did before. So it's a constant double checking, if I can say, about the forecast and the observed weather. This is for the second question for Mr. Simiyu.
Well, do you want to answer the first one, Miles, about is it just can it work with weather routing from WNI?
Yeah, thank you, Carl. So yeah, to answer your question, Egil, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. Yeah, so Weathernews provides optimum ship routing, or the OSR route, which is also visible in the platform. That has a risk communicator working on the route specifically. So it's sort of a backup. You know that it's been verified, whereas the automated route generation doesn't have that sort of depth to it. So it's a quick way for the master to generate a reliable route. But of course, having one of our risk communicators actually generate the route themselves is going to be a more robust solution. So I hope that answers your question.
Oh, very good. So we've got 4 more and 5 minutes. So we don't have much questions.
I also answered one card through typing, just to help.
3. So Name Montazeri from VPS is asking about parametric rolling alerts. Spiridon Parakis with Thenamaris, who's the only one he's from a shipping company. How fast is the weather updated? And Marco Stokov from GMS is asking about the trade-off between collision regulations and weather. I don't know if maybe how you can answer all those in 5 minutes, but maybe you have any comments, Yannis, you want to make on any of those?
Yes, I don't know. Of course, we are more than willing to note these questions and come back to the attendants to answer. But I don't know, Miles, if you can answer for Mr. Perakis' question about, he's asking to demonstrate how fast the weather is updated in relation with route and vessel position through the voyage monitoring. So how fast are we updating the weather in our onboard system?
So it depends on the type of weather. I think we've got 3-hour updates, 6-hour updates, and I think current is the longest. That one may be 6 or 12 hours. I'm sorry, let me get back to you on the specifics. Yeah, 3, 6, and maybe 12.
Okay, 3 hours is the wave, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay, all right. And maybe answer about the parametric rolling alerts.
Yeah, I can answer that. Is it okay if I share my screen for a moment?
Yes,
again?
please.
Just got 3 minutes left.
Okay.
Okay.
The last one. Yes.
If I can find the screen share button, let's see. Maybe I'll have to give up.
Try the one on coal regs while he's doing that, Yannis, or trade-off between weather routing and coal reg compliance. What takes precedence? Is that a...
We need to get back to Mr. Stokov on that.
Okay.
But we'll note it down. Thank you.
The complicated question.
So regarding the parametric rolling alerts, so we're using the vessel specifics here that are set for the passage plan and optimum ship routing route 72-hour simulations. So we have vessel specifics. I think, does that answer your question?
Oh.
Okay. Yeah.
And then the user can change the inputs if they choose for the specific case.
So it's also customizable, right? About the specific.
Yeah, very good. Is it possible to quantify why Weathernews is better than other companies? I mean, I imagine other weather companies wouldn't agree with you. You're saying our weather is better, but I guess, can you make it more concrete? Is that something you can answer in a couple of minutes, John?
What I can say about this is that Weathernews has been heavily investing in weather technology and weather analysis for many years. I mean, Weathernews started from a terrible accident that happened 40 years ago, east of Japan, if I'm not mistaken, that resulted to many lives lost in sea. So the founder of our company, Hiroshi Base-san, actually, he started this company in order to save lives and provide the best weather data and solution to all the vessels and all the crew on sea. So Weathernews is heavily investing in the weather technology. That's why we have this high resolution model. And that's why actually we are using our analysis in order to predict things that will come in the future, not only for the vessels in the shipping industry, but also all the assets, either land assets, sky assets, offshore energy, climatology, climate changes. So the weather will play a significant role in all these decisions, not only for the shipping, but all industries in the world. And Weathernews will be there to provide our best insight on all different cases.
Wow, well, that's fantastic. Well, I think we've got to the end of the webinar. I think many shipping companies certainly should have the best possible weather information. If they don't, they should be asking why not. I think that's a But thank you ever so much, Yannis, Miles, and Captain Tsintavis. And I shall pass back to Farah for the closing words. Cheers.
Thank you, Carl.
Oh.
Thank you very much.
Oh.
Thank you to our guest speakers, John Sideris, Captain Panayiotis, Tsintavis, and Miles Whitman, and our audience for joining us today. You can view a recording of this webinar on our YouTube channel. A link with contact details should be on its way to you soon. Also, don't forget to fill in our survey, which will be appearing on your screen shortly. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it.